Greetings everyone, and welcome back to Metarug's channel. And today I'm going to be doing a special episode on Tower Comics. I'm going to go through just a brief history, look, things that I know about it, and we're going to go through and look at the complete set of Thunder Agents and related titles. Now, Tower Comics is actually a branch of Tower Publications, which was publishing pretty much just paperback books, all right? And then the publisher, what I think is the main guy there, Harry Shorten, used to work for Archie Publications, and you know, he saw that in the mid-60s that superheroes were getting popular again. So he wanted to start a line of superhero or adventure comics. So he contacted Wally Wood and said, you know, he said to him, "Hey, listen, essentially what I just told you, I want to start a line of comics, adventure themed, superhero themed, things like that. And essentially, I want you to take care of that division. You have free reign, pretty much, as to what the content is and all that." And then he went to Sam Schwartz, which he worked in Archie previously. I think he was an editor there. And he went to him and he said, "Hey, I want to do a teen humor line of comics. You know, similar to Archie the comics, right? And then that was a separate kind of division led by Sam Schwartz, and that was the comics there were Teen-In, Tippy Teen, Go-Go and Animal. They had like that was a sort of separate line, but they were both the Tower Comics Adventure series and the, you know, Teen Humor series or action series. The Teen Humor and the action series were both under Tower Comics, but they were separate divisions. I'm not going to go into the Teen Humor aspect of it because I don't have many, and I just don't find it nearly as interesting as the action series. So they started up publishing comics in 1965. With Thunder Agents #1. Now what was unusual at this time was that most comics were 12-cent 32-page comics, but the Tower comics were, as you can see, 25 cents, and they were 64-page comics, 68 with the covers. So you got essentially double the comic that you would normally get from DC and Marvel, except for Giants, things like that. So, but this is the way they published their comics at this point. And as you can see, this is the first issue. Every issue has generally 4 or 5 different stories in it. Generally from any one of the Thunder Agents, and then sometimes they'll do a team story in it. So, the characters involved here they had superhero-ish elements, but they were really more like a spy or secret agent, underground government task force. The superpowers were generally achieved by, you know, technology or you know, technical means of some sort. Like Dynamo there on this cover had a belt that gave him strength and some invulnerability. The guy to the left there was Mentor. He had a helmet that gave him telepathic powers. The guy to the right, No Man, is actually an android that had, like, the man that put his consciousness into him could actually put it in different bodies, different android bodies. So as you can see, I mean, it has obviously some fantasy elements, things like that, but at its core was a more secret agent-ish, kind of like a James Bond vibe to it. Man from U.N.C.L.E., if you're familiar with that kind of vibe to it. So, you know, again, you know, secret government organizations, things like that, were generally the theme of the day. So, again, Wally Wood did the majority of the covers, including this one here. But, you know, since it was 64 pages and bi-monthly, I think it was just too much for him to do everything, so he contracted out, you know, a lot of the work. And you probably recognize some of the creators here. Ogden Whitney, Steve Ditko, Dan Atkins, George Tuska, Gil Kane, Steve Skeets, Chick Stone, few others, very well-known creators were involved in this action series, and I'll show you why they call them action series. They actually do call them that later on. Again, the villains were, you know, some were, you know, secret organizations a la Hydra. You know, there were obviously some, you know, world dominating, you know, archetypes and things like that, but a lot of them were, you know, sort of not really, you know, what I would call super villains. They were villains for sure. I mean, they were, you know, organizations or individuals that either wanted to dominate the world or destroy it, or had, you know, a war in mind, you know, things like that nature. But not a lot of what I would call superhero, supervillain battles here. So here is why it's called the Tower Action Series. If you look up here, that's what they put it on their little logo up there. And again, this only lasted, the Tower comics themselves only lasted 4 years, from 1965 to 1969. I just don't think they could compete with DC and Marvel at that point, and they were probably losing money and just had, you know, got out. And they continued to publish paperbacks, including, there were actually a series of paperbacks that starred the Thunder Agents, but they were all reprints. So as I was saying, there were actually 20 issues in the Thunder Agents run. Oh, and besides the superpowered Thunder Agents, there were this team here in red. These were the non-superpowered Thunder Squad, and they were specialists in you know, science, technology, explosives, things like that. So again, the superpowered ones were, you know, for the really, you know, unbelievably tough tasks, you know. Here, this character joined them eventually, called Lightning, a super speed of some sort, and I think flight. Later on, another character joined them called Raven, who could fly and had like supervision. But again, these were all artificially obtained powers, right? There's Raven with a nice Gil Kane cover there. I think also at this juncture, no, these were still 64 pages. Okay. Another Gil Kane cover there with that green ghoul or whatever that is. And I think right around this juncture here, they started putting in some reprints, and they scaled down the comic to 52 pages. So again, I just wasn't. I guess it wasn't profitable at 64 pages for 25 cents anymore. Yeah, right here you can see backed by popular demand. So they started doing reprints here. By the way, Thunder stands for the Higher United Nations Defense Enforcement Reserves. They love the acronyms, you know, as you'll see with the Undersea Agent. And there's 19, which is sort of a pastiche of actually older covers that were used, previous covers. And here is the last issue. Again, this is mostly reprints at this point. I think there might have been one news story in there, and there was a pinup. So that's it for the Thunder Agents. And again, the Thunder Agents later went on. They were picked up by various publishers, independent publishers, DC, I think Archie at one point also. But I don't think that they're doing anything currently. There were a couple of spin-off series. Dynamo got his own 4-issue series. There's a nice damsel in distress cover. My opinion of this publisher is the art was actually pretty good. If you like Wally Wood and those more classical artists. The stories were hit and miss. Generally, they weren't that deep. There wasn't a lot of you know, a lot of stories that really went in depth into the motivations of the villains. I mean, it's tangentially and so forth. And the personal stories of the agents were also kind of vague. But, you know, par for the course. Here's the No Man series. There were only 2 issues of that. There they are. There's Dynamo and No Man on there. So, I mean, if you... I enjoyed them, you know, at the... As far as them being Silver Age oddities and kind of... you know, nostalgic. And again, it kind of has like almost a golden age feel to them. But I wouldn't say that this is like great storytelling or anything like that. It's okay. But certainly not something that I would say, hey, you know, go out and, you know, read these in depth and enjoy them, and, you know, you'll be astonished as to the depth of the story. No, nothing like that. Here is Undersea Agent. And again, this was another acronym. United Nations Defense and Exploration and Research, something or other. And the main character here is that guy here in the middle in the blue, Davy Jones. Yes, they weren't exactly, you know, original with some of their names there. So, and you see this, again, this was sort of the same kind of deal, but, you know, on the sea or underwater. And again, this villain here kind of remind me of Dr. No a bit. So again, you can see where, you know, kind of the super spy elements were kind of ingrained in this series of comics. And this particular run only lasted 6 issues. I believe he only had like one actual tie-in to the Thunder Agents. Otherwise, it was kind of a separate... It's in the same universe, but it was a separate organization with separate focuses and so forth. Everything they battled was, you know, undersea monsters or, you know, again, you know, sea-related villains. Really nice Gil Kane cover here. That yellow background, which I always admire and always like. And here are the last 2 issues in this run, including this very nice. Again, this is again, a throwback to me. This is a throwback to, you know, the Golden Age monster covers. So that makes sense, right? Because Wally Wood did a lot of stuff in the Golden Age, did a lot of science fiction, horror stuff. So it kind of makes sense that he would, you know, make, you know, or at least commission the art to be in that style. Okay. So that is it as far as the tie-ins for the Thunder Agents action series. There was another action series which is called Fight the Enemy. There were only 3 issues in that. These are war anthology stories. I only have issue 2. I'm still working on getting issue 1 and 3. And this is notable as having, I believe, the first Boris Vallejo art. But again, this did not tie in any way to the Thunder Agents. They were purely war-themed stories. But I still enjoy them, so I wanted to get all the Tower Action Series comics. So that's it, folks. That is my little review and historical background on Tower Comics. Tower Comics, again, they went out of business in 1969. The publisher continued in paperbacks, but that was it as far as them publishing the Thunder Agents and related titles. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments if you do. If you have any other information, I'd love to know about it. And again, I'll try on every Tuesday to come up with one of these obscure, kind of quirky videos for you. All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching. Everybody be blessed and be back.